Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Jeff Rust with your Sports Center update. First on The Fan, the Trailblazers snapped a 5-game skid yesterday afternoon with a win over the Raptors. Tonight, the Wizards hit Moda Center. 7 o'clock tip on KUNP, 2.2 on your antenna or Xfinity Channel 302. The Blazers are 6-point favorites. Portland now 29-39 on the season, 3.5 games out of the final play-in spot with 14 left to play, and tied for the 9th worst record in the league. ESPN's Adam Schefter reporting the Texans and Derek Stingley Jr. have agreed to a 3-year, $90 million extension that makes him the highest-paid cornerback in NFL history. All but $1 million is guaranteed. And last night, the Bengals reportedly locking up their wide receiver tandem. Jamar Chase, 4 years, $161 million with $112 million guaranteed. And T. Higgins, 4 years, $115 million with the first 2 years guaranteed. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The Fan Merch Locker has a new black 1080 The Fan hoodie, as well as classic long and short sleeve tees. Get yours now at 1080thefan.com. This is Danny and Dusty.
Meringatang is going to be a thing.
You're not coining anything new.
With Danny Meringue and Dusty, the Fan Man Hera.
I'll throw some monkey sounds in there and call it good.
The old Danny Meringue pie?
Danny and Dusty on the Odyssey app and 1080.
Yeah, this is going to be awesome.
The Fan.
Good afternoon! Wow. Hey, welcome in. Happy Monday. Danny and Dusty with you. How's everybody doing on this Monday? There's a buzz going on.
Because it's bracket week.
Dude, the brackets are out. That is such a comforting feeling. It's just like brackets are here. We got the tournament back. We all have it all figured out.
Can't touch mine until Wednesday night.
My son has already my son and I we do this. We draw out the bracket. So before, as it's coming out, we draw it out. And he fills it out. He's got the University of California, San Diego losing to Duke in the national championship game. So his bracket is bold, but it was like one of those things that I remember filling out a bracket as a kid.
Oh God, yeah.
And it's so fun because everybody has it all figured out right now. It seems like it's right, and it all falls apart, and that's the best part about March Madness.
Yeah, no,
right in the butt.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I got away from my playing games.
Oh,
I got to know.
Those are deciders for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, there is
that
like
all crucial 11th seed. Is that right?
Well, an 11th seed, they've made it to like the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
Often. I don't know the numbers on that, but like it's not unusual to find them going to the Sweet 16.
Got to know who's.
It's also not unusual to be loved by anyone.
That's true.
You're right, Tom.
I got to make sure, man. I got to eliminate a variable here.
Yeah.
That's how this goes.
So you wait all the way till Wednesday night, huh?
Yep. I'll tinker with some stuff and have some ideas, but
yeah.
You know, look, getting hot at the right time matters.
It sure does.
It matters.
Sure does.
And then styles make fights, man.
Yeah, they absolutely do. Yeah. I'm here for it.
That's what you got to do. On the YouTubes already, how are you? None of you wearing green? First of all, I am.
No,
Dusty's
going to get injured. No,
I'm not. I'm a big Italian, so you Irish can have your fun. That's fine. But
yeah, I'm like
doesn't matter to me,
60%
dude.
Irish. So yeah, no, I can. My again, like I said, my heritage, my culture is not your costume.
Apparently, we are going to go home and have some corned beef tonight. I've learned today, but
corned beef and cabbage, not good.
Yeah, well, the cabbage can go F itself.
Well, look,
I'm
my
Irish.
people don't make good food.
Everything's boiled.
My people,
they are.
I am Irish as well. Corned beef and cabbage sucks.
It does.
It's not good.
Well, no, like
good.
a good corned beef is good.
Bangers and mash, good. I'll take a corned beef and hash.
Yeah,
look, man,
absolutely.
the
Corned beef
cuisine,
sandwich.
the cuisine from the island, not good.
No. A lot of boiling of your foods, and it's just not great.
Yeah,
not great.
It's not good at all.
No. So, but Jameson, good.
Hey, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, the food's so bad that it came up with good booze.
Guinness.
Great.
Not good.
Oh, it is.
Oh, Guinness
good.
is great.
Guinness is
I don't wanna
good.
Guinness is
chew-
great.
I don't want to chew on my
Guinness
beer.
is good.
Listen,
go
that
have
is
a
one-
mojito,
okay,
Danny.
Listen, I am going to put this to bed
Hold on,
for
Mr.
once and for
Mojito
all.
cannot have alcohol takes. Can
I'm
we
gonna
put
put
that? Can we just finalize that Danny's alcohol tastes are awful, and that's
Whoa.
okay.
I love a mojito, but I love my tequila.
That's okay.
Look, Guinness Stout is a stout basically in name only. It's not in anywhere near any of the stouts that you know that you think that are chewy.
No,
it is a very light.
No, it is such a
It is a very light
it's
beer in
dark
both
beer.
alcohol content and calories.
Yeah.
And it is very light and smooth, and it is not
Dude,
like
tastes
even like a
awful.
Black Butte Porter. It is a very light going down beer.
Agreed.
It tastes awful.
Agreed. Agreed.
Gross.
But
And I'll do this again next March 17th too.
everything's breaking the Irish way. Rory McIlroy wins the Players Playoff on St.
Right.
Patrick's Day. Well, he's
There we go.
Northern Irish, so
I guess I'll have to go
they're
get a little.
Protestant. So I don't
Yeah,
know
you
how
gotta-
they
you gotta-
feel
you
about
gotta
St.
say-
Patrick. Saint Patrick.
You gotta separate those two.
Well, wait, no. So the Northern Ireland is that part of? See, this is where I always get confused with the difference between Great Britain and the UK because they're different, but it's only based on like one country.
What?
Yeah, the UK and Great Britain are different, but it's only because
All right. Hey,
I think the UK has one more country than Great Britain, perhaps.
I'm looking at this. They do celebrate St. Patrick's Day, Northern Ireland. So we're fine.
There we go.
Oh no, I was just saying you need to separate the Irish from the Northern Irish. They
Well,
got beef.
It's Catholics and the Protestants, and that's where I was like, But they do celebrate up in Northern Ireland,
There you go.
so we're good there.
And I guess speaking of such,
Mm-hmm.
since it is St. Patrick's Day as well, if you're gonna have a Guinness, go get yourself a little bit of Bailey's and Kahlua and Jameson, and
Mm-hmm.
drop that shot into your Guinness, and you'll have a nice little Belfast car bomb.
It's kind of a dark name behind the beverage, though.
What are you gonna do? I didn't name it.
No, you didn't.
Jeff Russ responsible for naming it a car bomb.
Yeah. You call it the Belfast car bomb.
Well, there's a difference between the Belfast
Because
car
what
bomb
did you
and
just
the
add in
Irish
there?
car bomb.
What did you add in there?
The Kahlua, yes.
yeah.
The traditional Irish car bomb is just Bailey's and Irish whiskey.
Yeah.
You put a little bit of that Kahlua in there, it adds a good little like chocolatiness to it.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
And that's Belfast.
I'm a former mixologist.
I don't think you ever leave that brand behind you, buddy.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay, I'm a current mixologist.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
You're a current mixologist.
But yeah, in my opinion, the Kahlua in there is crucial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't wear green on St. Patrick's Day. I'm not a child. I don't have to go to school. If anybody wants to pinch me at work, more power to them. You know, we don't have HR.
I already
Everything's
tried. It
fine.
didn't go well.
Well, for you. Went great for me.
No. Do it again. Do it again.
Oh, man. Yeah. And
I can't get behind the Baileys either.
here's the fan text line. Here's the fan text line. Guinness on tap, incredibly good, better than any of those awful micro brews that taste like hops. I would say you usually don't notice like the nitrogen.
Well, that's what makes the
taps,
Guinness so smooth.
But it really does impact Guinness out of the tap.
Can I say another
Yeah.
little bee in my bonnet?
You know what? Yes, you can, bud.
When it comes to, even if you're not out at the bar
Mm-hmm.
drinking the Guinness out of the tap, if you have the draft cans, don't crack that can and drink it right out of the gall-darn can that is meant to be poured into a glass as if it were a draft beer.
That's why it has the little ball in there.
Yes.
Yeah.
So just don't, you dummies.
Okay. Hey. All right. We're
or
fixing
just
people's
don't
problems.
drink Guinness because it's not good.
Did you see what happened at Pitt over the weekend?
Mm.
They were having a college celebration for St. Patrick's Day, as college kids do. They paid no attention to the fact they were doing it on a Saturday, 2 days before St. Patrick's Day. But there was like a party in like this alleyway,
In your pants?
and there were people on an awning, like a covered front porch to a house, and there were people all over the top. Collapsed. Roof of the porch collapsed. Nobody died. I mean, there were people everywhere. They're saying that 16 people were injured. None of them life-threatening.
Good
last
God.
I checked. But yeah, it was one of those videos where you're like, oh my gosh, there's several dead people there.
That's
several
crazy.
dead people there. It was nuts.
The terrible thing that I saw this weekend on the social medias was somebody trying to throw a beer from like the 6th story of a building to somebody and hitting a woman in the face with it.
Okay.
Like a beer can, like hit her like right in the forehead, like unopened from like 6 stories.
So did she win a Super Bowl? Because that's what happened to Howie Roseman.
Yeah, there you go.
You know,
except for this was further than the one that Howie got it with, and you had gravity.
They were throwing it to the ground.
Yeah, not up.
That's
down.
just stupid.
Yeah, it was bad.
Natural selection on that one.
Well, not for her. She was just
walking.
It was like outside of a bar, and she was just having a conversation, and they were trying to like throw it down to another dude who was like, yeah.
Oh.
And they just missed, and it cracked her right in the face. I was like, oh, God, how is she not dead?
That lawsuit's not going to end well.
Mm-mm.
That's not going to, it will not
and they filmed it.
end well.
It's like,
and then they posted it.
Here's Exhibit A.
Yeah, you should delete that, not post it to the internet.
Yeah.
That's a bad idea, brother.
Whew.
Man. Golly.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I love the days of like being young and going out and partying your balls off on a St. Patrick's Day. Don't miss it now.
Oh, God, no.
I remember them fondly. I do not want to go down that road.
There's 2 nights that I don't go out. Like,
yeah.
I don't like leave the house. New Year's and St. Patrick's. Just too many people getting
As
drunk
a former
and driving.
bartender, that is amateur hour.
Yeah,
that's
like
amateur
old.
night.
So is night before Thanksgiving. Night before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
That's the big party night.
That's
for
everybody
people
goes and meets at
coming
the Dublin
home.
pub.
Yeah, go to the Dublin pub. Irish bar.
There you go.
Irish bar, huh?
Right?
It's coming full circle here. Coming back to it. But yeah, that one is also that's a night where people just go
Fat
nuts.
Tuesday was another sneaky one too, even though it's on a Tuesday, but that was always not fun as a bartender.
Yeah. I imagine a young Jeff Rust, full head of hair, working behind a bar with just a neck full of beads.
Yeah, all of the
you
beads
just
on.
looking like Mr. T back there.
Not
on
quite
Fat
yet
Tuesday.
built like a apple on a stick.
An apple on a stick, huh?
Well, I carry all my weight in one spot.
Yeah, you got.
You remember the Lollipop Guild?
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
Jeez, you just called him short and fat. That was brutal. You in Lollipop Guild? Jeez.
He said apple on a stick, so I said Lollipop Guild.
To be fair, when I was in high school and my sophomore year, our spring musical was The Wizard of Oz, and I was a munchkin.
Did you have like a prominent role as a munchkin?
No, it was
Were
just
you the
part
one
of the
that
chorus.
just came out? So they didn't even get. You were just a.
I was
munchkin?
a munchkin. Yes.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Just getting lost in the shuffle, skipping.
Exactly.
Man.
But at least I wasn't the one that they found hanging in the back of the rafters, like in the movie.
That. Yeah.
So that's good.
So you had that going for you, Jeff, which is nice.
My 8-year-old asked me about that the other day. She's like, "Dad, is that real?"
You guys ever find that?
Yeah.
You did?
Uh-huh.
I never.
Yeah.
I never found.
Oh yeah, it's a shadow in the background.
Yeah.
It's just a shadow.
Never saw that one. I found the member in The Little Mermaid.
Oh yeah, that one was pretty prominent.
Yeah.
What about the ghost kid in 3 Men and a Baby?
I have seen that one.
Yeah.
I've also found there's in The Lion King, there's like a little dust up and the dust pops up. It says sex.
Yeah.
Found that.
It was the same dude, wasn't it? That was doing it?
Well, I don't know if it was a dude. I don't want to put that out there. It was definitely a dude. Like, there's a 1 billion% chance only a dude is doing that. Probably. I would assume so. Probably not the Wizard of Oz, but the other things, the sexually graphic things, absolutely.
Yeah, all the Disney ones, because they're all around the same time.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I didn't ever try, though, was trying to sync up the Wizard of Oz with, what is it, The Dark Side of the Moon? The Pink Floyd?
I did that.
Playing Black Sabbath backwards.
Never did that. Like, playing Black Sabbath backwards was, like, impossible because I had a CD player. You know?
Yeah.
It's like, how am I going to do that? I couldn't do that.
Just skips.
I didn't have a record that I could play backwards. Couldn't do that. No. We had an inability to do that. But we did do Dark Side of the Moon, Wizard of Oz.
Okay.
And it's really like 3 parts that are cool. There's like 3 parts where it really is like, whoa, this does time up really well. The other parts of it, you're like, I don't really get it.
I mean,
a
lot of drugs.
That's probably where I missed it.
Yeah.
Like everybody else, and they thought it was much cooler. I was the guy who had to time things up.
Yeah.
So I had to be on my game. And I didn't dabble with that stuff. So that was one where they thought it was much cooler. But there were 3 parts that were pretty awesome. Pretty awesome.
Simple things in life.
Yep. All right. We got a lot that we need to get to today.
So much.
Yeah. We got brackets are out.
Mm-hmm.
We want to break down old SOU sending 2 teams to the Sweet 16. No?
No.
Not going to. No? Oh, they did. We have full brackets. Selection Sunday was yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
What a weekend of college hoops.
Great,
it was.
Great basketball.
I think we're all experts now.
Unless you're Maryland.
Unless you're Maryland.
Oof. What a way to lose.
You know what? I like it. This is how I fill my bracket. I'm like, hey, you know what? They have something to play for.
Feisty now.
They got something to play for.
Michigan wins a conference tournament and gets a 5 seed.
Yeah. One of the 2 major conferences, and they get a 5 seed. The SEC gets 14 teams in.
That's more than 12.
But you know what was great about it? That's not what everybody's talking about on Monday, because North Carolina is the buzz of the college basketball world.
And for good reason.
We got to discuss that. We've got major contracts handed out across the National Football League. Bengals defense optional.
Some make sense. Some have me questioning a lot of things.
And then, we've got the Portland Trail Blazers too. Maybe that's where we start, because the Blazers yesterday, they were back in action after a few days off, much needed days off, and they had it right there. It was right in their grasp. And the Toronto Raptors said, "No, we got this. We know how to do this better than you." Danny and Dusty on the Fan. Portland Trailblazers won.
They did technically win.
Yeah, they beat the Toronto Raptors yesterday, 105-102. And that game was shaping up to be exactly what we want the Blazers to do, right? Which is play hard and lose. Only problem is, though, the Toronto Raptors said, no, we can lose. And they yanked everybody in the final moments of that game.
Not even the final moments. The Raptors were up 6 with 8:41 to go in the fourth quarter when Scotty Barnes checks out. And it didn't even cross my mind at that point in time that was going to be anything egregious. Because that's about 9-10 minutes. That's usually when you see somebody come out and then come back in for the final 4 or 5 minutes. He did not return to the game. And then I'm like, that's it. It got down about 4 or 5 minutes. I'm like, that's weird. And then with 5:22 remaining and still a 6-point game, it was a 9-point game. Possession before, 2 hits the 3. Jakob Poeltl subs out with 5:22 to go. I'm like, okay, what the hell is going on here? So no Scotty Barnes, no Jakob Poeltl, and then no Jamal Shed, who without Barnes or Shed, they don't have a primary ball handler.
Yeah.
And that ends up being the difference in the game. You don't, like, they just pulled guys.
They tanked. And they tanked, and that is exactly what I think this is what I've been talking about, and what like a lot of Blazer fans who feel like me feel like is this is what they wanted the Blazers to do, and what they've wanted the Blazers to do is say, play hard, have your guys in, but when it comes down to it, if you let the young guys go out and flail, they flail and they lose. I'm okay. I do not think it is a problem what the Raptors did because they're not into winning games right now.
I 100% think it was a problem. 100% think it was a problem. I think it's disgusting. I think it's nasty. I think it's reprehensible.
Why?
Everything about it. Either sit the guys for the whole bleeping game or let them close it out.
What is the what is the problem with...
If you're all of Canada and you're in Vancouver and you have your one trip to come down and watch your team play, your team that you get to see live once.
They at least got to see those guys play.
And you don't get to see... You play to win the game.
You played for 40, but they're not.
That inherently is a problem.
Yeah, but
that is a problem.
How many other teams are doing the exact same thing in the NBA?
Either sit the guys or don't. Either let them play the game.
What you just said though in that scenario of if you're from Canada and you're from Vancouver and you come down and you don't see them at all,
know what you're getting into.
I think that is a bigger issue.
Know what you're getting into. No,
than just sitting them the whole time.
That's playing with the game. That's messing with the game. I don't like that stuff at all.
Well, so is sitting guys.
I guess here's my whole thing too, is that I was led to believe that organizations tank, not players and coaches, but this would sound as
this is coaching doing it.
This would be as a severe counter argument to that.
That's an edict from the front office saying we're not trying to win right
then
now.
Sit them. Then sit them.
Well, they did for the final 8
of
minutes
the
game.
Then sit them. Don't. Yeah. That's screwing. Look, the Blazers did that when they put the Spurs and put John Butler Jr. out there at point guard. I didn't like that either.
Yeah,
I thought that was nasty work when they did that 2 years ago. I did not like it then. I still don't like it. If you're gonna sit guys and you're gonna be egregious about it. I hope the league comes over the top and hands them the biggest fine they can. I think that's nasty work. I was talking to some folks last night, and I heard Mike Richmond mention on his podcast. I think the fix to this, Keith Parrish, who does the Grits and Grind podcast for the Grizzlies, great dude. He had this idea, I want to say 2-3 years ago, where you have a lottery point system. And in that, the lottery is still a lottery. You don't change the odds in the lottery, and your losses still matter and all those kind of things, but you also have these lottery points. And basically it works where every time you beat a team with a better record than you, you get a point. That way you're always incentivizing winning. And you can say, well, what about the team?
I agree with that. I think, but right now, with the way that the landscape is the way the lottery is set up, we talked about this. We were talking about this for 2 weeks. The Bulls and the Raptors games were going to be huge games because that's a 2-game.
Bulls and the Spurs.
Well, the Raptors one too is you're sitting there and you're looking at it now. The Bulls and the Spurs. The Raptors sat there and said, "Well, 76ers lost. We're trying to catch them."
Yeah,
and those are the ones that
I don't think they tried to. They just played against the Mavericks, and it was who's worse.
Yeah,
it was 125, 130. They had 11 active players.
The Sixers won so they could catch up a half game. Yeah, the Sixers won so they could catch a half game on them, and we're like, all right, we're gonna do it. And boom, there was a big swing there. It is what it is. I'm not. When you have a team that is as bad as Toronto is right now, Blazers weren't catching Toronto to begin with.
No. You're looking at Chicago and San Antonio, which the Blazers right now are a half game in front of.
Yeah.
It is. That's what's actually interesting.
When they play them,
Chicago, San Antonio, Portland, Miami are all within a game of each other.
Who's going to be on the floor when the
And if you're going to do it,
teams?
be blatant about it. Say it with your chest.
Just shut them down the whole time.
Say it with your chest.
Yeah.
Like I don't like the in-game stuff. Don't like it at all. I think it's nasty work. Because that sends an entirely different message to your team.
They are playing the game.
You're not though. You're not playing the game because if your objective is to lose, then lose.
What just happened to Utah Jazz last week? They were sitting Lauri Markkanen, healthy scratches for games. They get fined for it.
Yep.
Right?
OKC got hit with it too for sitting their starters against the Blazers.
They played the Raptors went out and they played those guys and even played them in the fourth quarter too. And then said, all right, we're going to let young guys close this thing out. And it was atrocious. And Ant knocked down big threes.
And two.
Tumani Kamara as well. Like it was, the Blazers had everybody out and it was like, yeah, they're going to win this game. There's no way they're going to lose this game. And I was with you. I was going, all right, when's
Scotty coming back?
Going to put Scotty Barnes back in.
The Scotty thing didn't even register right away because when he checked out, it was kind of a normal checkout time.
Mm-hmm.
When Pirtle checked out, that's when my ears perked up. I went, whoa. Because Pirtle was giving them work.
Yep.
Pirtle was...
He played 5 minutes of the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
So you're sitting there and they're going to be able to justify that to the league by saying, hey, we're not in the hunt for a playoff spot. We're just trying to develop young players at this point, and we're trying to preserve the legs of our vets, so we let the young guys out there.
Yeah, you played your 2 ways in 10 days.
It is nasty work, but I honestly don't see a difference in doing that than sitting a guy for an entire game. And they're not playing to win games. We know this.
And again, this is where I'm kind of with you, Dusty, is at least somebody who traveled away is to see a certain player or whatever.
Yeah.
They will see that player.
Yeah. But I also think that, as this texter points out on the fan text line, he says, you and I are both correct. And that's why the NBA is becoming a more and more unwatchable product. I think that it is late in the year, but it's also when you watch the high level games, like when there were some really good NBA games this weekend too.
There was fantastic basketball.
The teams that are relevant and the teams that are in it, you're seeing really good basketball. But
the problem is you've got
the bottom falls
a
out.
third of the league
And that's
that
why
is in this, and it's like it's nasty.
That's why people love the NFL though, is because this doesn't happen in the NFL. Happens in Major League Baseball.
I was going to say, this happens in baseball.
It happens in baseball all the time.
Yeah. So why isn't there the same vitriol with baseball?
Oh, there is. There is.
And they
the White Sox last
guys
year.
Need an off day. Guys need an off day.
They literally made a rule to prevent teams from doing this, so they can't get a top pick in the baseball draft.
multiple years in a row. Yeah, but this is why. I mean, every year in the NFL, we see teams peel off a win at the end of the year, where you're like, "Damn, that's going to hurt them."
Mm-hmm.
The Patriots were this past year. They were in line for the number 1 pick.
Raiders did it 2 years ago.
they blew it. And so, but that is why, and it's such a short schedule. And when you have the longer the schedule, the more that this has an opportunity to happen.
It's just, I don't like messing with the game like that.
No, but they're messing with the game regardless.
You're not wrong. It's a finer point thing, but my whole thing is like, if you're going to mess with the game, say it with your chest. Don't do this stuff like, oh, we're going to adjust in game.
Boy, I think that was with their chest when they said, we got a chance to win. See ya, boys.
If that's the case, then why are they playing?
Oh, because you have to play him, or you're going to get fined by the league.
Then take
Like,
the fine.
that's it.
Then take the fine.
Well,
then take
no,
the fine.
because
say it with your chest.
They don't want to take the fine.
No, say it with your chest. If you're gonna be egregiously crappy, then take it on the chin. That's what I mean.
Yeah. But, I mean, they're getting the result that they wanted out of it, and the league is getting the result that they want. Like, all of those fans that are Scotty Barnes fans, they got to watch Scotty Barnes. The Jakob Poeltl fans, if they exist here in Portland,
they're out there.
They got to see Jakob Poeltl.
I guess I'm just mad that the Blazers aren't doing what the Raptors are doing, and the Blazers should be doing that.
Well, in a different way, yeah. In whatever way you see it, it's losing games, right? Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see where they end up.
Who, the Blazers? Yeah. Well, with the number 1 pick, obviously, because the basketball gods are going to smile on them. Because they're doing it the right way. And if you're one of those Spurs fans who's saying just one time, that guy.
Here's something interesting.
One time.
We were only one ping pong ball off from Victor Wembanyama.
There's a Spurs fan who's like, one time. Come on, NBA.
Yeah, exactly.
Just give us the number 1 pick.
I will say, if the odds were, if that idea of the lottery point system was in there,
yeah,
currently the Bulls would have the number 1 pick, the Blazers would have the number 2 pick.
Yeah, from beating teams with better records.
And what makes that interesting is it's not about this year or anything going forward. It would make teams evaluate in the summertime. And instead of building rosters that are objectively
that's a good
god awful, you would add a few veterans.
Yeah,
you would have look at what the Wizards have done. They've won 6 out of the last 7 games. Why do you think that is?
Well, Alex Sarr's playing a lot better,
and Chris Middleton,
and
Marcus Smart. It's like you added functionality to a roster. Weird. Alex Sarr started to play better when he had functional pieces around him. Who could have seen that coming?
He had people around him. Yeah. It's amazing how that works.
That helps develop guys.
It does. It does. And that is why you've seen Scoot, Tumani, those guys have turned a corner. And Shaden Sharp, those guys have turned a corner because they do play around functional players.
And if all of a sudden in the summertime, these because you're going to have bad teams, and that's okay. It's okay to be bad and to rebuild and go through the process.
Or just trade your star.
It happens too. But the idea of this is like, you should not incentivize losing to this stature.
No.
It's nasty.
It's not. The flattening of the lottery odds really has not helped. It's actually added some more teams because we've been talking about this. Like, hey, the Blazers may not get number 1, but hey, these 2 spots that they could jump, it increases their odds for the top 4 tremendously. And those conversations are now far more teams. In especially in a draft like this one, right? Last year's draft, we didn't see this quite as bad or to this level of how many teams are shutting down. And I also think that, we have this curveball of Victor Wembanyama going down, Joel Embiid and Paul George going out in Philly. Whatever is happening with the Mavericks, trading Luka Doncic, getting Anthony Davis, and him getting hurt literally day one.
The Pelicans being built on a burial ground.
Yeah, right.
And everything that happens.
The bottom falling out. Like there are some factors.
Natural selection factors.
Just 4 teams that have just cratered that we didn't expect to, but they're leaning into it.
I mean, the Grizzlies with Ja and then the injuries that they suffered. I mean, like that stuff happens. In those cases, man, you deal with it. But if you encourage them to keep playing and actually developing and making games matter, it just makes the product better.
It does, and they need to figure out a way to make the product better right now. All right. Well, Blazers won yesterday evening. I felt happy for you because you got out of there pretty early.
Oh, it was great.
You were able to get home at a reasonable hour. That was great for you.
Definitely not gonna have the night.
Yeah, no, this is gonna be a late one. Buddy. I feel for you. Blazers play the Wizards tonight, guys.
Boy,
Blazers play the Wizards.
And let me tell you, look, the Blazers have been good about matching and coming out with the intensity. They didn't have it last night. It's tough to do on a back-to-back against a team this bad.
Is this how it's going to sound?
That sounds happier than it probably should. It needs to sound more dour.
You can get in the building. Tickets as low as $4.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
That is a stark contrast to the Heat-Knicks game where tickets as low as $137.
You can watch a Heat team that has the same amount of wins as the Portland Trailblazers playing in a crappy conference.
Yeah. Hey, Blazers don't have the lowest tickets in the league, though. Venture to guess which game tonight
Who's Orlando playing?
has the Orlando not on the docket tonight.
Oh, okay. I thought they were
Not
back-to-back.
on the docket.
Who's Charlotte playing?
The Charlotte Hornets are not on the docket
Okay.
tonight. I will give you these options. We have Sixers Rockets, Pacers T-Wolves, Bulls Yaz, Pistons Pelicans, Nuggets Warriors.
Where's that Bulls game at? Is it in Chicago or in Utah?
It is in Utah.
Utah.
No, it is Cade Cunningham and the Detroit Pistons in New Orleans. $2.
Oh, it's in New Orleans. I thought they were in Detroit. Okay.
$2 you can get in the
Wow.
door.
Yeah, that makes sense. They don't care about that team there.
And as I've looked this up,
I want my $2.
yes, Chunk.
That's not Chunk.
Who
That's
is
from
that?
Better Off Dead.
Oh, Better Off. Oh,
the
Better
Paperboy.
Off Dead.
Yeah.
Pelicans, $2 to get in. That will be, I mean, all in. You're probably looking at like $6 with all of the convenience fees that you'll have to pay for those tickets. But hey, $6 for two people to get in the door.
I mean, look,
How often is it you got to pay more for parking than for 4 tickets?
I mean, depends on where you're at. Because I saw parking for $60 across the street from Moda the other day, and I went, "What,
dude? Whoever's charging that, they're owning that lot, and they must have some skin in the game with TriMet because
it's the same
they're
guy.
getting money either way if that's the case.
It's the same guy that's owned that lot right there
Hot
on
damn.
Williams and
Is that
Broadway.
that triangle lot right there?
No, the corner lot right there at where you get on I-5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Williams and Broadway. There's
I
a
know
little
where that is.
tiny
Yeah, yeah.
It's not even really like a lot. It's just an empty space across from the office building right there. That guy has been out there since I was a kid.
I know the family that at least
Hustler.
used to own that one triangle lot, like at the east end, basically, of the Broadway
You
Bridge.
make a
And, yeah,
lot of money.
They were our next door neighbors
All right.
when I was a kid.
Let's talking Russ neighbors.
There you go.
All right.
They let us park for free.
What?
Yeah.
Dude, what a hack.
Right?
Yeah, you need to hit him up. All right. Blazers win last night. They get the Wizards tonight. Does this qualify for a Danny Meringue great suck-off special of the year?
It's going to be bad basketball. I can tell you
Bad
that.
basketball.
Yeah.
Bad basketball. All right.
If you guys are going to suck hard. See? That's what I mean. Sit your guys. If you're going to do it, lean into it. The great suck off.
All right. Well, before we dive into the NCAA tournament, let's get all of our newsy stuff out of the way because, boy, we got a lot to chew on with the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, we do.
But Cincinnati Bengals, they plant their flag on where they're going, and Joe Burrow's got to be a happy camper. Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Jeff Rust with your Sports Center update. First on The Fan, the Trailblazers snapped a 5-game skid yesterday afternoon with a win over the Raptors. Tonight, now the Wizards hitting Moda Center. 7 o'clock tip on KUNP, 2.2 on your antenna, Xfinity Channel 302. You guys have no idea what these guys say in my ear on these updates. Blazers are 6-point favorites. Portland now 29-39 on the season, 3.5 games out of the play-in with 14 games left to go. They are currently tied for the 9th worst record in the league. ESPN's Adam Schefter reporting the Texans and Derek Stingley Jr. have agreed to a 3-year, $90 million extension that makes him the highest-paid cornerback in NFL history. All but $1 million is guaranteed. And late last night, the Bengals reportedly locking up their wide receiver tandem. Jamar Chase, 4 years, $161 million, $112 million guaranteed, and T. Higgins, 4 years, $115 million with the first 2 years guaranteed. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
It's The Fan on FM. Go to 99.5 FM HD2 and enjoy high def 1080 The Fan.
Jamar Chase and T. Higgins both locked up for the
Deuce.
Cincinnati Bengals. Big money being doled out to those two young men. And it's interesting how the NFL salary cap works in that both T. Higgins and Jamar Chase get massive paydays to the tune of Jamar Chase getting 4 years, $161 million, 112 guaranteed. And then you have T. Higgins getting 4 years, $115 million, with the first 2 years guaranteed. He is the highest paid wide receiver too in NFL history. Both of their salary cap hits are going down this year because of those deals.
Doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I saw the combined number for them, $69 million. The highest paid wide receiver duo in league history by an order of magnitude.
Yeah, Jamar Chase got what he want. That 0.1 makes him the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. And then T. Higgins, dude, that is so much money for wide receiver number 2. Now, a lot of that is fake money because it's said quite clearly in the reporting only the first 2 years are guaranteed. But what it gives him is it gives him security over just 1 year of playing on the franchise tag for $26 million, right? So even if he just has only 2 years, he's going to live with that. He's going to be okay with that because then after 2 years, he can go and either make this thing fully guaranteed with the Bengals or they can cut ties with him and he can go play somewhere else. So really what Cincinnati is signaling is they got a 2 year window, which was really interesting with what they do with Trey Hendrickson. If they find a trade partner or if they're able to sign him, you may be looking at this, the signal for the Bengals are saying window open. We're going to go for it. And if it doesn't work in 2 years, we're going to be going back to going cheap.
I mean, it's the Bengals, so I guess that at least they're quasi going for it.
I mean, I think that this is them, especially with the other moves that they made with, re-signing guys like BJ Hill and bolstering your interior of your defense. Trey Hendrickson's going to be the linchpin, though.
Yeah, and that could have been prevented.
Yep.
Had they gotten deals done with Chase and Higgins last year.
Not kicking the can down the road like
and
they
that's the issue with the Bengals and other teams that are like them in the sense of we're going to push it and we're going to push it and we're going to push it. And then when it comes time and the salary cap goes up and it's going to go up again and the deals are going to get passed. But had you done this a year before, you probably would have saved somewhere around $20 million.
Which is exactly what the Houston Texans did today with Derek Stingley Jr. He signed a 3-year, $90 million deal. $89 million is guaranteed on that.
I cannot believe that.
Did you see Derwin James' reaction to it? He was being interviewed, or he was like a guest panelist on Good Morning Football on the NFL Network when that news broke. And he was like, damn, DBs are getting paid like that? He's like, good for him.
Yeah,
but he was shocked too.
Have you seen the list of the highest paid DBs in the league now?
No, but $30 million a year is a butt ton. I guess if they're going to be having these elite dynamic wide receivers, you got to have somebody to stop them.
At least Stingley is worth it because he can very much make the argument that he's the second best corner in the league, third best corner in the league.
And a lot of this too is predicated on, all of these salaries are going to jump exponentially this year because this is something that agents knew was coming, newsbreakers knew was coming, and so did players like Jamar Chase. So we can blame the Bengals all we want, but make no mistake, they knew that contracts were going to explode this year. So there was some pushback and maybe playing coy with the Bengals on, we don't want to sign right now because we know what the money's going to be doing, right? Everybody saw when the television deal kicks in, salary cap's going to balloon, and we're going to get major salaries like this, and Stingley is a beneficiary of that.
Your three top paid DBs in the NFL, Stingley, J.C. Horn, and Jalen Ramsey.
And Patrick Surtain is over there going, yes.
Why guarantee 89 of the 90 million?
Yeah.
It's like, whoa. That last one.
Because you want to do it. You want to have a win in negotiations somewhere.
David Mulugeta strikes again.
We're going to win one part of this deal. And we're not fully guaranteeing it.
And look, man, corners age like milk. There's no position in the league that ages worse than a corner.
But when you are young,
But for that 4-year window,
are good.
you remember we all remember Revis Island.
Yeah.
What nobody talks about is when Revis Island went underwater.
yeah,
When he fell off,
people
he
don't
was
talk about that enough.
unplayable.
Global warming really hurt Revis Island.
I mean, just the polar ice caps melting.
Mm-hmm. It did.
The real estate disappeared.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, around the NFL, man, it is very, very, very rare that a corner has more than a 4-year window. When they have more than that 4-year window of being truly great, you have got an all-timer.
Yeah. Well, 3 key pieces get locked up long term. Both Jamar Chase and T. Higgins staying in Cincinnati. Derek Stingley Jr. getting a big bump at $30 million per year to stay with the Houston Texans. So the NFL very active. Something very cool happened over the weekend here locally, and want to give the flowers because it was awesome. Danny and Dusty on the Fan. Look, madness is just about to get underway in the college basketball tournament, where we got the field of 68 all locked, loaded, and ready to go. We're going to start breaking down all of it, including the Ducks path, the bracket of death, or the region of death, which is always fun to try and calculate where the most carnage is going to happen, and the big fallout of Selection Sunday, North Carolina, and how that all shook out. But we just had some madness wrapping up right here in the state of Oregon. I want to take a minute to give the kudos and shout-outs to the Barlow Bruins. Coach Tom Johnson.
Got it done.
Dude, got it done. He is one of the winningest coaches in Oregon high school basketball history. He has done an incredible job building, maintaining a Barlow Bruins program over the years to where he started there in 1987. He crossed over the 700 win threshold this year, and he capped off the 2024-2025 season with a 61-55 state championship victory over Jesuit. And in a world where so many schools rely on, transfers, and you have coaches that are moving around even at the high school level a ton, Tom Johnson has been at Barlow since 1987. He's been the head coach there. And that dude has had some incredible players, some incredible teams. And you want to talk about doing it the right way. This group took 5th in 23, 4th in 24, and then win a state championship in 2025. Like, that is awesome. Everybody who's come in contact with Tom Johnson, TJ, rave reviews, one of the
wins.
greatest guys.
Is that a lot?
700 is a ton in high school basketball.
Yeah, when you play, 30 games, 32?
And so I love to see when you have somebody new getting to the mountaintop. It is way cooler when it is somebody who's been at a school, who has meant so much to a community, and they finally get it done. So I wanted to give some kudos and some shout-outs to the Barlow Bruins, who you don't hear them a lot as state champs.
You want to know how many times I got to take off my shoes to count to 700?
You could just keep your shoes
Do
off,
you say
man.
you put them back on?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
how do you reset it?
It's a long time. That's a long time. So really cool. High school basketball, awesome. And Coach Tom Johnson gets his crown. The Barlow Bruins get their crown. Hats off to the boys in Boring.
Yeah, and you beat Jesuit, which I always love to see.
As Metro League guys, never a bad thing.
Never a bad thing.
Always great.
Never a bad thing.
25 years later, still love to see
Yeah.
it.
Is it still kosher to say how we used to refer to them when they were a boys' school?
Nope, it's not.
Definitely
But
not.
Okay.
I would just like to point out for all the times that they chanted, "That's all right, that's okay, you'll be pumping our gas someday." I've never pumped any of your gas.
Nope, not once.
I pumped my own gas, damn it.
And most of you drive Teslas anyways, so you guys are charging those at your own home. So you're pumping your own gas.
Yeah. How about
Anyways,
that?
huh?
Yeah. And have fun wiping all those eggs off the side of your car.
Oh, man. That one always hurt, though. Because you always have the buddy in the stands like, I think they're talking to you, man.
You're going to be the gas pumper.
Sorry, don't let them affect you, man. It's going to be fine. You're going to find your own way, dude.
It's cold.
Yeah.
It happens.
All right. Let's get to the madness. Selection Sunday yesterday. We've got regions of death. We've got, I don't know, would this be committee nepotism happening?
Probably.
Huh? And the SEC gets 14 teams? My goodness. Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
Danny Moran.
Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Crunch Fitness. Memberships as low as $9.99 per month. Find your Crunch time in Portland, Vancouver, and online at crunch.com. First on The Fan, the Trailblazers snapped a 5-game skid yesterday afternoon with a win over the Raptors. Tonight, the Wizards hitting Moda Center, 7 o'clock tip on KUNP. That's 2.2 on your antenna or Xfinity Channel 302. The Blazers are 6-point favorites. Portland now 29-39 on the season, 3.5 games out of the play-in spot with 14 left to play and tied for the 9th worst record in the league. Jeremy Grant is doubtful and Tumani Kamara is questionable. ESPN's Adam Schefter reporting the Texans and Derek Stingley Jr. have agreed to a 3-year, $90 million extension that makes him the highest paid cornerback in NFL history. All but $1 million of that $90 million is guaranteed. Last night, the Bengals reportedly locking up their wide receiver tandem, Jamar Chase, 4 years, $161 million with $112 million guaranteed, and T. Higgins, 4 years and $115 million with the first 2 years guaranteed. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The ultimate basketball party, Fan Madness, is back. March 20th and 21st at the Stadium Sports Bar at A&A Sportsbook. More info at 1080thefan.com. Danny Meringue.
I found 2 empty bottles of a particularly decent Chateau Noir Bordeaux 57 in your rubbish.
Dusty Hera.
You went through my garbage?
This is Danny and Dusty on the Odyssey app.
I find it particularly offensive that you use them to wash down an order from something called Macho Taco.
And Portland's sports leader, 1080.
I would never drink a Bordeaux with a Macho Taco.
The Fan.
With a burrito machisimo.
Oh, dang, I did it. Sorry, Magnum. Hour number 2, Danny and Dusty with you on this Monday. Thanks for being a part of our day, letting us be a part of yours. 1080 AM, 99.5 HD2, the Odyssey app, twitch.tv/1080am The Fan, or youtube.com/1080am The Fan. Party on, party people on the YouTube streams. The bracket is out, my friend.
It is, and I'd say it's glorious, but I have questions.
Well, our 1 seeds are as follows. Auburn, Duke, Florida, and the Cougars of the University of Houston. Those are your 1 seeds as selected by the selection committee yesterday. Auburn getting the 1 seed, and this is, I have not remembered a time where the committee has been this transparent about when they are finalizing everything, because it did not feel like they really cared at all that the Auburn Tigers have lost 3 of their last 4 games heading into the NCAA tournament and getting them the number 1 overall seed. Now, granted, they are 28-5 on the season.
Their body of work is very good.
It is incredible over this year with wins against a lot of tournament teams, but lost to Duke. They beat another 1 seed in Houston at the very beginning of the year. They have their 2 of their 5 losses though are to other 1 seeds, and they're the number 1 overall seed. They lost to Duke. They lost to Florida. They beat Houston, and then they've lost to, in the last 4 games, Texas A&M, Alabama, and Tennessee, with 1 win coming over Ole Miss in that stretch. It's quite interesting that they get the number 1 overall seed, but their body of work is incredible, and everybody has losses to really good teams this year, which is fun.
To me, Florida's the best team in the country.
They're playing like it right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think they probably should have gotten it, but it is
what
it
they
is.
did to Alabama was, I mean, they dismantled. They put up a hundo in a college, not just a college basketball game, but the SEC tournament semifinal, where they only scored 47 points in the first half.
The only other game
104
across college basketball that was even close to it was what Maryland did to Illinois.
Yeah.
And Maryland took their foot off the gas.
Yeah.
I mean, it was an absolute dismantling. But just kind of going through just the overall seeding, I think the 1 seeds, I think are all the 1 seeds. There's one storyline coming out of that, which we can talk about later with Cooper Flagg. But you talk about seeding. Oregon got themselves a pretty damn good seed, pretty good bracket. Michigan got completely screwed over. Michigan beat Purdue, Maryland, and Wisconsin. That is the number 20, number 11, and number 18 teams in the country, and got a 5 seed.
Again, this is the transparency that selection committee saying on Saturday, whatever happened on Sunday was gonna. That seems more like on Friday they made up their mind on where the at least top 5 seeds were going to be, and then after that it was just the sorting hat.
Yeah, and that to me seems weird.
Yeah,
when you beat 3 top 25 teams in the country, 86-80, you have the barn burner Maryland game. What a finish to that game! Heartbreaker for Maryland on 5 seconds left, couldn't advance the ball, inbound to Danny Wolf and fakes the DHO one way, little bit of a flea flicker situation. Guard comes up the other way, gets all the way to the rim, gets smacked in the head, and finishes over the top. Just an incredible finish in that game. And then they hold off Wisconsin 59-53, and Michigan gets a 5 seed. But that's not even the most egregious thing that happened, because West Virginia is left out of the tournament, and North Carolina makes it in. And make it make sense for me, Dusty.
Well, North Carolina was playing far better at the end of the year. I think the committee is signaling, without even saying it, that they don't value the quadrant wins as much as they have in the past, or as much as any of the prognosticators do. Because North Carolina 1-12 in quad 1 games, which means at home, a quad 1 win at home is beating a team that is ranked 1 through 30. On the road, it is a team 1 through 70. On a neutral site, it's 1 through 50. So they only have one
in 13 chances.
One of them. And they made it in, and they're going to be they're the last ones in. But they made it sound yesterday that it was not as difficult. They said that if UAB would have beaten Memphis in the American championship game, then North Carolina would have gotten bumped out and Memphis would have been in as an at-large. Well, Memphis held on, and so UNC held on to their spot. Okay? What I don't understand is that how in the world you could, with a unbiased eye, keep that West Virginia team out, or Indiana, ahead of North Carolina.
I think there's 2 reasons why. One of them is one of the people on the board is the AD at North Carolina,
Bubba Carrington. Or no, that's Bubba Cunningham. Bub Carrington plays for the Wizards, which you can see tonight for as low as $4.
There you go.
Take on the Portland Trailblazers.
But he recused himself from the room at that point in time, which that's funny. Like, he didn't have any kind of impact in that at all, because everybody has to see him before and after he comes, before he leaves the room and when he comes back in. They're going to look at him in the eye and be like, no, you guys are out.
You don't think, and
also the brand that is North Carolina.
Did we see West Virginia's governor today?
Yeah, the West Virginia's governor is, I think, it doesn't matter they're 50th in education. They want their university in the big dance. Mm-hmm. He's calling shenanigans, and he wants to look into this. The governor.
He's calling the NCAA the National Corrupt Athletic Association.
Well, he's not wrong.
He's not.
But
it's a miscarriage of justice and robbery at the highest level.
Like, he had a graphic made for it and everything, and put it on his podium at the presser.
You got to go full Shamstrania with it. You got to have the graphic. West Virginia was 19-13, had 6 quad 1 wins. 6, 5 more than North Carolina, and they played most of their season without their head coach's son, Tucker DeVries, who is a very good player. He's a second-round NBA player. Like, he's a very, very, very good player, and he means everything to them. And they still had a better season than North Carolina. Bracket Projector, which takes votes from 111 different people who in college basketball who, like, this is kind of what they do. They're very, it's like the minor league ranks of the Lenardis of the world. In 111 of 111 brackets, West Virginia was in. They were unanimous selection. And since this has been done, it is the first time a unanimous bracket team has not made it. North Carolina was in 27 of the 111 brackets.
That's wild. Now, all of them are not as prestigious as a Joe Lunardi type, right? But that is a pretty telling stat that they're all looking at different metrics. They're not just, well, some of them probably are just throwing stuff against the wall. But even the people that throwing stuff against the wall found West Virginia sticking and mostly North Carolina not.
Yeah.
That is pretty jarring to see. There's also an element of, all right, Bubba Cunningham may have recused himself because he is the North Carolina athletic director, which, by the way, because both the North Carolina men and women got into the tournament, he doubled his salary for the month of March. That's in his contract. Yeah, a little $104,000 payday he got there. Not too shabby.
Always voting to increase your salary. A good thing to be able to do.
But
Oh, that's a thing. Can I do that here?
yeah. Just recuse yourself, walk out.
Okay.
And then when you come back in, maybe your March salary is going to get doubled. I don't know. We'll find out.
Wish in one hand.
But that there is this element, and it's glaring because, he was walking around and he had to do all of the interviews. And I loved that CBS came right at him, just right out the gate. They were like, look, you're the AD. People are going to be wondering why you got in here. Why is North Carolina in the bracket? And he had like a hostage with him. I don't even know who the guy was, but he's on the selection committee too. I think his name's Luther something. He was sitting there. He's like, yeah, I guess I'll take this. And he was just getting pelted with these questions because Bubba Cunningham was like, yeah, I recused myself and I can't really talk about it. Yeah, that isn't sitting well with people, especially in the state of West Virginia.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, really not sitting well with anyone in college basketball.
But I also think that there's something at play that people aren't really talking about much, in that because North Carolina got in, the ACC got 3 teams in. And there is this wild imbalance in the tournament. 14 teams from the SEC, 9 from the Big 10, 8 from the Big 12, 5 from the Big East, 4 from the Mountain West, 3 from the ACC, 2 from the WCC. That right there is like inherently there is where a massive issue is at, right? I feel like they went at this with, we need to make a move for another team to get in from the ACC. And we can't just have, they got Duke, Clemson, and then I think they're a fourth because it's technically they're a play-in team.
Yeah.
So they're not actually in it. But they can't just sit there and have one of a quote, or Louisville. Louisville is the third. So this is the fourth ACC team. They needed to make it look a little bit better for the ACC. I honestly believe that was at play in the selection committee without Bubba Cunningham in the room.
And that's a problem.
When you add him in the room, there is an issue. But look, we went over this last week. All of the bubble teams from the SEC, which all of them got in.
And then some, because Texas made the run.
Well, I know, yeah, well, they were included in the numbers that I was looking at. They have an average strength of schedule of 193rd in their non-conference.
Yep.
They are looking at all of these metrics and they're sitting there and they're saying, well, they peeled off a win here or a win there. It's like, you can't tell me that you're looking at their strength. And they brought up the non-conference record of the SEC so many times. It's like, how could you deny it? 193rd of a non-conference strength of schedule. That's probably a pretty good starting point. You know,
you're not even in the top 50th percentile. I mean, it's insane.
I was talking about this in that, look, don't be mad at the SEC because they played the game, and the game was, if we do well with our non-conference, we will get more teams in. And how do we protect those teams, though?
The ACC was bad this year.
In the middle and the back.
Absolutely.
That's
the thing you can say is that the ACC was bad this year. And you watch them in their non-conference games when they did go out of conference, and they got smacked around.
And this is where the issue, though, is that this isn't about, like, if you're going to sit there and put another ACC team in, maybe you take you scrape the bottom of the SEC barrel and you say, sorry, guys, you're only going to get 13 teams in the tournament this year, right? The thing is, West Virginia and Indiana, they were the ones that caught the raw end of this deal because they were deserving. As you said, 111 out of 111 of the bracketologists, right? The only one that matters is the selection committee, though. But there's a lot of idiots out there. There ain't that many people that can be that right or wrong.
No. And that's the thing. It's like, come on, man.
And Indiana was on 90 of those 111.
Yeah, both Indiana and West Virginia both had significantly better cases.
2 other at-larges. Texas was on 50 of the 111. Xavier, 30 of the 111. So everybody's making the case of North Carolina. You can also take a gander at Xavier, too, as one of those teams that was very fringe heading into the selection committee. With all of this said, though, there is a region of death this year. You mentioned the Ducks maybe catching a break in theirs. Boy, oh boy. The Florida Gators, who may be the best team in the country, I don't think they got any favors done to them. Danny and Dusty on the Fan. All right, the region of death for this year's NCAA tournament. Let's get to it. Death squads here. As I was going through this thing and looking at all of the one seeds, you mentioned it. Florida, it appears they're playing the best basketball of anybody right now. They are absolutely manhandling teams.
Yeah, I think they're pretty clearly the best team in the country right now.
And if you look at the way that they have played down the stretch, I mean, 28-5 Auburn, the Gators are 30-4, and they have been humming.
Mm-hmm.
And Todd Golden is a really damn good coach. And I think one thing about the shine of this Florida team, nobody's talked about Florida this year because there's been a gray cloud that was just hovering over them. We talked about this when the allegations came down, but they were in the heart of like football season, and so it largely kind of got ignored.
Mm-hmm.
But it was more talked about as this larger scope of dysfunction at Florida. But remember, like the student newspaper had accused Todd Golden, the head basketball coach at Florida, of stalking girls and being wildly inappropriate.
It was nasty.
It was pretty nasty. January 27th, like in Florida took this seriously, and they hired, apparently they had an investigation done, and Todd Golden was cleared of any wrongdoing on January 27th. Since then, that Florida team has been red hot. 12-2 since January 27th.
And both their losses are on the road. One of them to number 8 Tennessee, and the other one a 5-point loss to Georgia, who has Asa Newell, who is a top 10 NBA player or top 10 NBA prospect.
We talked about how Auburn had lost to A&M, Alabama, Tennessee. Just take a gander at the last 6 games for Florida. They beat number 12 A&M, number 7 Alabama on the road, tournament team Ole Miss, number 21 Missouri, number 5 Alabama again, 104-82, and then capped it off with an 86-77 win in the SEC tournament.
Handily beating teams. That's the thing, is like
boat racing them.
I mean, these games haven't been close,
but they have really turned it on since Golden. That cloud has kind of gone away from their head coach Todd Golden, who's a really damn good head coach. And he came from University of San Francisco, which I don't know, Kyle Smith, now Todd Golden, kind of turned into a nice little pipeline, the Dons, to every other program in the country. But Florida is the 1 seed in the West. That looks like the region of death to me. Have you seen that bracket? The West region, you have got Florida, and this is why it is for me, when it comes tournament time, coaching means a hell of a lot.
Oh, it absolutely does.
The coaches that you got, 1 seed is Todd Golden. The 2 seed is Rick Pitino in St. John's.
And they are a wagon.
Which gave this great quote after winning the Big East.
Coach, how do you celebrate tonight? How do you celebrate tonight?
I'm going to drink a quart of Jameson's.
St. Patty's Day.
Good for you.
A quart, huh?
Drink a quart of Jameson.
I mean,
A quart.
Yeah.
That's not a small bottle.
I don't want a liter of cola. I don't want a large Farva. I want a liter of cola.
I want a quart of Jameson.
Yeah. You have Texas Tech with the coach who swore at me in good fun when Oregon played Texas Tech. It was good. But then you have, I don't know, Bill Self. Goes against John Calipari in the first round of the tournament. That is just absolute wild.
And then you have the tournament darling at the 11 seed in Drake with Sturtz as the head coach. He's a great coach.
And they take on Missouri. Penny Hardaway in Memphis. And oh, by the way, Florida's reward is going to be, in all likelihood, playing 2-time defending national champions Danny Hurley and the UConn Huskies in the round of 32.
It is a tough.
Maryland
tough
Maryland is the 4 seed there.
Yeah, Maryland. Look, they lost that last second shot to Michigan. That's a damn good team. And like, you look at this, it's not just great coaches up and down. You look at NBA talent. UConn has NBA talent. Maryland has NBA talent. Drake has NBA talent. Arkansas has NBA talent. St. John's has NBA talent. Like, this bracket is loaded, man.
There's about 8 teams, 8 of the 16 in that region. You would not be shocked if I told you they're in the Sweet 16.
No.
8 of the 16. That's crazy. I mean, you talk about a loaded region. Boy, really well-coached teams. And you could say what you want about Calipari. It's a talented team.
Cal's been coaching, man.
And they're going to have Boogie Flan back for the tournament.
Which is, nobody thought that was going to happen.
And
Boogie was supposed to be done for the season. And Boogie's a hell of a player. I love him.
Lottery.
I love him.
Lottery guy.
There are some people that have him further back in the 20s because of his injury. I look at him as a cross between Mike Conley and Darius Garland, which that's a pretty good cross of a player.
That is pretty good.
He's maybe the best point of attack guard defender in the NBA, despite being 185 pounds. He is the dog in him per 36 is through the roof.
I was looking at this too. We didn't really mention them, but there's been a lot of buzz around Colorado State too.
Well, that's because of Nick Clifford. Nick Clifford is going to be he's going to be the Jaime Jaquez, Tristan da Silva, in a sense, Tumani Kamara, but he went later in the draft of like, this guy's really good. I believe he still leads Colorado State in scoring, rebounding, and assists. He is
professional bucket creator.
He is just a hooper. He's a 6'6" wing who rebounds honestly, who he reminds me of is Josh Hart.
Oh.
But a better scorer.
Huh.
But an incredible rebounder at the guard wing position. Just a preternaturally gifted rebounder. He was a guy last year that had a first-round grade but didn't have the guarantee of going in the first round and came back to Colorado State. Got a nice little bag to come back. He will be picked somewhere between 15 and 20, and whoever gets him is going to get a ready-made NBA player.
Grand Canyon is in that side of the bracket too as the 13 seed. Bryce Drew, head coach at Grand Canyon.
Did he do anything in the NCAA tournament ever?
Yeah. He got his dad Homer a win. Valpo.
Yeah.
His brother's also.
I guess that's one way to put it.
Yeah.
His brother is a pretty good basketball coach too at Baylor.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Pretty good basketball.
That's my bracket of death. Dude.
Oh, it is. And
what one do you think is the next closest as like it's going to be hell to get through?
South.
You think the South with Auburn, Louisville, Creighton, Michigan, UC San Diego, which you want to talk about a team that is probably going to be a darling. They are going to be up there alongside Drake as one of the darlings of the tournament. Then they got Michigan State. Izzo's squad has all the markers of being a dominant team. New Mexico, which Richard Pitino is the head coach there. Rick Pitino's kid.
Iowa State, feisty.
Iowa State. Didn't they pull a, hey, oh, by the way, our best player's not going to be playing?
Yep. They slid that in there.
That sucks.
But Louisville's an 8 seed.
Yeah.
Louisville's a spunky little group.
Oh, spunky little
group. I think Oregon got the best draw.
You do?
Yeah, I do. I think Oregon got the best draw, that really favorable draw. Arizona's a good team, but if you can catch Duke without Cooper Flagg, which is we should probably get to it later, but screw it.
Oregon is the 5 seed, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Oregon is the 5
in
seed.
the East region. They will take on Liberty. Hey, has Oregon ever played Liberty?
Yeah, they
before?
got a Fiesta Bowl rematch.
There you
go. You think the score is going to be 45-7? Maybe Liberty scores the first 2.
Maybe at the half.
Yeah, maybe the half.
Liberty scores first, and then Oregon scores 45 unanswered.
You can see
think that'll happen.
But they are on the side of the bracket with Duke, and I talked to a bunch of people in college basketball, and they all told me that Cooper Flagg's injury, either he's Gumby or just not as bad as it looked. And there's a good chance that he is back by the Sweet 16, which to me is unfathomable the way it looked.
Yeah.
But
that seems to be like the big buzz coming out of it. And John Shire was like, hey, it's trending positively for Cooper. But I watched the ACC championship game, and I was like, he was on the bench, iced out. Good to see.
Yeah.
Huh? Got a little swag.
A little swagger to him. He's more of a Tyler Harrell White than a Gordon Hayward White.
But he he would like big play. He'd pop up on the bench, so he wasn't just like
Favoring
that's what
it.
I look for is like a guy. If he's just gonna be sitting there stationary and he's not moving, you're
know.
hiding something.
Yeah.
He was popping up and like I mean, it wasn't like he was jumping up and down and doing cartwheels, but he wasn't just stationary on the bench. And I was like, well, it's good.
He's giving you proof of life.
Yeah.
He is. He held up the newspaper and everything.
Look,
it was great.
I want to see him play. I
do
want to
too.
see him get the opportunity to be that freshman player of the year national title winner. And it's good for college basketball.
It's great for college hoops.
But if you're Oregon, you have a chance there. Because if you can get past them, look, I mean, the rest of the bracket, Alabama's a really good team. Wisconsin, I mean, Oregon has already shown they can beat them. BYU is vulnerable. Arizona, they are a hit or miss team. The one that's in here that's a little bit spicy is Baylor. They underperformed a lot of the season, but VJ Edgecombe has really started to put it together, and Scott Drew and Baylor are doing what Baylor do and uglying up games and getting after you, and they're playing better basketball as you get into the tournament. And that's if you're Duke, that's what you're worried about.
Do we really want to talk about Baylor doing what Baylor do?
Well, Baylor basketball.
Well,
Still,
that's true. Yeah.
They had a player murder a teammate.
Yeah, I forgot about
and
that.
the coach
one.
covered it up.
Yeah.
And blamed him.
And then they also had like the same.
And that was before all the
stuff
football
with all-
stuff.
Well,
Yeah.
and they were roped into the football stuff too.
The Scott Drew era. We'll go with that.
All right, that's fair.
There you go.
That's fair.
There we go. God, we got to narrow it down quite a bit with Baylor, don't we? All right, coming up next, we have our worst day on the
good.
Yeah, not great, Bob. Worst day on the
or
web.
Liberty and the Fighting Pool Boys.
Hey, we're gonna keep it in Texas and keep it in basketball. What the hell is going on with the Dallas Mavericks? But first, here's the Big Kahuna Sports Center update.
You mind if I have some of your tasty beverage to wash this down?
Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, the Trailblazers snapped a 5-game losing streak yesterday afternoon with a win over the Raptors. Tonight, the Wizards in town at Moda Center. DeAndre Ayton, Jabari Walker, Robert Williams III, Ryan Rupert all out. Jeremy Grant doubtful. Tumani Kamara is questionable. That's a 7 o'clock tip on KUNP 2.2 on your antenna or Xfinity Channel 302. The Blazers are 6-point favorites. ESPN's Adam Schefter reporting the Texans and Derek Stingley Jr. have agreed to a 3-year, $90 million extension that makes him the highest paid cornerback in NFL history. All but $1 million of that $90 million is guaranteed. And last night, the Bengals reportedly locking up their wide receiver tandem. Jamar Chase, 4 years, $161 million with $112 million guaranteed. And T. Higgins, 4 years, $115 million with the first 2 years guaranteed. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
Jump back to earlier parts of your favorite fan shows on the Odyssey app. The only way to rewind Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan. It's time for today's worst day on the web. With Danny and Dusty on Odyssey and 1080 The Fan.
Well, that sucks.
You know, basically everyone that's been on the outside looking into Dallas Mavericks just asks why. Why? Even the people that were on the inside that are now on the outside, whether it be Mark Cuban or Haralabob Vulgaris, the former general manager.
Dirk Nowitzki. Dirk over the weekend was like, yeah, this hurts.
Yeah.
The Luka trade, it hurts. He goes, I'm a fan now, and it was surprising and it hurt.
I mean, he took the trip out to Utah to go watch him in his debut.
Yep.
Because that's his guy, man. Like, not to rehash it all, Luka was going to be a Maverick for life. Like, that's everyone around him, everyone that worked around the team and knows Luka all said the same thing. Like, we weren't worried about him going anywhere. He was happy here.
Yep.
Now,
he gone.
It doesn't mean things were perfect, but he wasn't going anywhere. The Mavs, I don't know what they're doing now. First, it was editing Luka out of the team hype video that they put out on social media, which, if you didn't see it, like anytime Luka appeared, it was he was a white silhouette that was edited out.
Yeah, kind of like iRobot.
Yeah,
he looked like iRobot in there.
It's like, what's going on here?
That's a choice.
Maybe just don't use clips with him in the background. Like, you've got lots of minutes of film to choose from.
I don't know if they had very many minutes of film without.
You're probably not wrong, but I mean, just find a way to find a couple plays. It's okay. Use the different court angles. You've got all kinds of things you can do. Don't make it so egregious so it's a white silhouette. Just like AI him out of the video completely. But the problem is they were like, well, we didn't use the AI there to edit him out, and now they have an AI hype video. And it is the creepiest, cringiest thing I've ever seen. You found this, Dusty. I missed this one last night. And it looks like some sort of 3D generated hellscape.
Yeah, this is a Jeff Russ special. Jeff Russ algorithm is a lot of AI, apparently.
This popped up on the station Twitter feed, just so you know.
By golly, so bad.
Yeah, it's awful. They made Klay Thompson look like Rip from Yellowstone.
They did. Like they
That's a very solid pull.
And he does. He looks just like Rip.
He does. He's Cole Hauser.
But they're trying very hard. At this point, they should probably just lay low for a while. Maybe find a safe house. Not go anywhere for a time or two.
Hire a PR firm, any other PR firm, to go over every single thing that you put out, because everything that you've done has been wrong. From your messaging to your social media to you are just stepping in it over and over and over again.
Yes, you're not wrong. But the fact that somebody created this and then several people gave their approval
who
for
gave
it.
The green light for this?
Yeah,
It's one of those things that we always go down this road of who is approving these. And yet the Mavericks did it again. Congratulations to them.
Who is winning? What is it?
Yeah, so you can go to the fans' Twitter. It's on there. And boy, you are in for not much of a treat.
Not a treat.
Not a treat, but yeah, but buckle up, because as much as we try to prepare you, you are not ready.
Counterpoint, is this something where they're saying we need
a distraction?
We are going to distract from the bad news that continues to happen? Because over the weekend, it comes to light that, oh, hey, by the way, we don't have enough guys to play games, and because of the first apron of the salary cap, we can't sign anybody to 10-day contracts. It appears that the Dallas Mavericks might have to forfeit basketball games because they don't have enough players.
Which is an absolutely insane thing in today's world and economy, which leads us to where we're going to go next. The Dallas Mavericks are doing maybe an even dumber thing. Well, not a dumber thing in trading Luka, but it's the next dumbest thing in a pantheon of dumb things that they have done. And we'll get to that next year in Danny and Dusty 1080 Fan. Dallas Mavericks, in their move, trading Luka Doncic to the Los Angeles Lakers for Magic Beans. Those Magic Beans being the old and oft-broken Anthony Davis. While a great player, made his debut for the Mavericks and was phenomenal for 3 quarters before pulling his groin.
Oh, no way. He got hurt?
Yeah, no, hard to see that one coming.
Man.
The Mavericks are sending Anthony Davis down to the G League for a rehab assignment in hopes of bringing him back to play this season, because they don't have enough players to play. So the oft-injured player coming off of a groin injury for a team clawing for its life to stay in the play-in is going to rush a player back who is oft-injured.
But why throw him in the G League, though? I mean, a G League stint for a guy...
I don't think he's going to play. I think they're going to do the same thing.
That's
that
a travel day ramp-up period.
The Blazers did this with Matisse Thybulle when he was assigned to the remix. He didn't play in the game. He went through practice with them, and it was that you have to do that for insurance purposes. But why?
Save face. I mean, that's where they're at right now, is that they are in save face mode because of the fact that they have had a misstep in every single situation. They are hanging on by a thread to that 10 seed. And the only thing that's bailing them out is that the Phoenix Suns still can't figure out a way to win basketball games. And when they played the Lakers, that was one of the most head-scratching things of all time.
31-15 at the end of the first quarter.
They made a choice, the Suns did, to not guard Luka Doncic. And there's mic'd up of Luka going to the bench going, I can't believe, I've never been that open in my career. And then KD walking up to him and ain't gonna be like that in the playoffs. It's like, brother, you're not gonna be in the playoffs, so what are you talking about?
Did you see Devin Booker? Did you see his tweet?
No.
So there's another iconic meme kind of photo. Remember the one of Devin Booker bending over and Luka behind him smiling?
Right.
There was one of Luka last night yelling towards Book, and Book having like a blank expression on his face. And one of the aggregate accounts grabbed it like, oh no, we've got another one. And Book quote tweeted that with what it looked like in real life. And it was kind of this guy with a very stupid look on his face and like scraggly facial hair. So to say that Luka Doncic gets to Devin Booker is probably an understatement.
Yep.
Which again, bring hatred back to the NBA. It's better.
Look, but this is how tight it is at the top of the Western Conference.
Mm-hmm.
On Friday, when we got off the air,
mm-hmm.
They were second. The Lakers were second in the West. They're currently fifth. They're going to go on the road to Memphis right now.
The games down the stretch for seeds 2 through basically 7. If you squint at 7 in the Timberwolves, because they've been playing very good basketball, they've won 8 of their last 10. Here's what's crazy. If you look at between 2 through 7, Houston, Denver, Memphis, the Lakers, Warriors, Timberwolves. 7-3, 5-5, 5-5, 6-4, 9-1, 8-2. The only teams that are in the mix of like not being great are the Nuggets and Grizzlies, and the Nuggets got blindsided by the Warriors the other night. Or not the Warriors, the Wizards. That's not one you expect to see coming, but again, the Wizards are playing functional basketball out of nowhere.
Hey, how about that?
Yeah, turns out having viable players is helpful for basketball.
In the Mavericks, we talked about this in the worst day. The only way that the Suns may make it is if the Mavericks are forced to forfeit games.
Yeah.
And that's why you have to push to get Anthony Davis back, is because
you've lost Dante Exum for the season with a broken hand. You lost Kyrie Irving with a torn ACL. It is a plague upon plagues.
Keith Smith tweeted this out, and this is wild to think about. He said the Mavericks have 14 games left. Kessler Edwards, 3 games left of NBA eligibility because he's on two-way. Kai Jones, 11 NBA games of eligibility left, two-way. Brandon Williams, 6 NBA games of eligibility left. The Mavs do not have enough room to sign a player under their first apron hard cap until April 10th, when they have 2 games left in their season. Think about that. 14 remaining. They can't sign anybody until April 10th when they have 2 left.
Mm-hmm.
That leaves you with, Kai Jones has 11 games to play, but you need 8 to field a roster. I remember this happening when the Blazers played the Warriors in 2010.
Yep.
And it was Don Nelson-led Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
The Warriors suited up injured players in order to have enough guys just to go out and
they
and
just
play a
did
game.
not play. And I was at that game. I believe it was Devin George fouled out, and they were down to 4 players. And Don Nelson looking at the refs with his hands up on the sideline, like gesturing to the refs, gesturing to the bench, gesturing to the refs, gesturing to the bench. They assessed a technical foul for George to come back into the game. And basically what happened there from there on out, he actually didn't commit a foul, but had he committed a foul because he was a disqualified player, and I think Ronnie Turioff was active and had to go on the floor because he got injured during the game, which dropped them below after George had fouled out. Turioff had to meander over to somebody, commit a foul, and show that he could not play, go back to the bench, put his warm-ups back on, and every foul that George would have or could have committed after then would have been assessed a shooting foul and a technical foul on top of it. It was one of the most insane things I've ever seen.
That's why Anthony Davis is practicing with the G League, though. In that they're probably going to do exactly what they did with Ronnie Turioff in Golden State 15 years ago with Anthony Davis, because he can hobble around and he can commit a foul. What I want to see, though, you got club up guy with the broken hand.
Dante Exum?
Club up Exum. I want to see a basketball player going straight defensive lineman.
Play with one hand.
Play with the club and send him out there.
Good God. Well, I mean, Exum can't shoot anyway, so.
That would be fantastic.
Goodness gracious. I mean,
it's the cherry on top to the season from hell.
I mean, you called it the curse of Luka Doncic, man. And boy, is it just the reaping that is occurring right now is unlike anything I've ever seen. Oof. All right. And now number 3, let's have a little bit of fun.
All right.
We hit on some of the NCAA bracket, but we didn't really hit on all of the darlings. We need to talk about our upset specials, our darlings, and all those ones that you're going to pick early on. They're going to lose in round 1. They're going to completely break your bracket. We'll get to that more here in hour number 3 on Danny and Dusty, 10 to the Fan.
Match Win Donations window into 1080 The Fan. Danny Meringue.
Dusty Bun?
Dusty Hera.
I've been really busy. Trying to save the world from Russians and monsters.
This is Danny and Dusty on the Odyssey app and Portland's sports leader.
Of course you have.
1080.
I want to hear it.
The Fan.
Hour 3 here on a Monday on Danny and Dusty. We're listening to 1080 The Fan on 1080. Watching along on youtube.com/1080 The Fan or twitch.tv/1080 The Fan. We appreciate you. We love you. Thank you for hanging out on this marvelous Monday. I don't know why it doesn't feel like a Monday. It's weird. Probably because the Blazers played last night and I'm all completely just sideways.
Yeah, you and Days don't
blend
well.
No, they don't blend together very well for me. Or they blend together too well. I don't know. What I do know is that the NCAA brackets are out, and we know about the number 1 seeds. We know who got screwed over, West Virginia. We know who may have gotten a favor paid to them, North Carolina.
And they're telling anybody who will listen too.
I mean, I don't think they're wrong. I genuinely don't. They have a better case by pretty much every measure over North Carolina. But I digress. What really matters here in the NCAA tournament, who's going to play spoiler? Who's going to be an upset special? And there's a couple things that go into this. 1, how well you're playing going in. 2, your profile. 3, your seed and your path. Now, the George Masons of the world and the VCUs of the world are a little bit different because that's just magic bottled up and
you're dang right.
Pretty impossible to replicate. But you can find 10, 11, 12s every single year.
Yeah, and there's always teams that just people fall in love with, and they may get bounced. They may get bounced early, but people glom onto them, and they become kind of the loved team and beloved teams of the NCAA tournament. There's no shortage of them this year. I mean, there's a lot of teams. You could see a lot of double-digit seeds advancing and not just beyond the first round. Like we talked about them earlier, but Colorado State is one of those teams out of the Mountain West that, look, they're favored right now to beat Memphis.
Yeah,
they opened at 3.5-point favorites. It's down to 2.5 now, but they opened as a favorite in the 5-12 matchup. Like, it's not going to be a surprise if they knock off a 5 seed.
No, and that is number 1 in the betting markets, but number 2, they have the best player in that game. And that's one of the things you have to look at when you're looking at these matchups. You talk about styles making fights. Nick Clifford, who was a one-time teammate of Jabari Walker's at Colorado, ended up transferring to Colorado State 2 years ago. I was incorrect when I said earlier he leads them in every counting statistic. He has been bypassed on blocks. He averages 0.6 blocks. The team leader averages 0.7. But for Colorado State, Nick Clifford averages 19 points, 9.7 boards, 4.4 assists, 1.2 steals. He is a certified hooper. He goes as far as they go. But that makes a lot of volatility when you rely on that one guy so much. If they don't have it going, it gets dicey. If you watched Colorado State in the conference title game against Boise State, it was slow going. They did not score for the first almost 6 minutes of that game. Yeah. Now, once they got going, they blew Boise State out of the gym. It was over with pretty quickly. But when you've got a guy like Nick Clifford, and again, Nick Clifford is going to be a first-round pick. He's going to be picked in the top 20. He's a 6'6" wing that just does everything. He's shooting 51% from the floor, 40% from 3, 77% from the free throw line. He is a good player. Yikes. Again, you're talking about a 6'6" wing who averages 10 boards a game, 20 and 10 damn near in college. A 20 and 10 player in college, you do not see them very often, no matter what level of Division I you're talking about. That is a certified bucket-getting, defensive stopping, grinds you into the pace, into the paint NBA player.
I've got 3 darlings that people are going to glom onto, and 2 of them are for the same reason. The first one is a team that is not very fun to watch, but they are, if you appreciate good basketball, Drake. Ben McCollum is the head coach at Drake. He came from Northwest Missouri State University, D2 school, national powerhouse in Division II basketball. He brought 4 players with him from Northwest Missouri State. He's got a bunch of D2 transfers.
And one of them, again, like Nate Clifford is an absolute dude.
And then one of them also transferred from Wyoming over. His best player came with him from Wyoming and transferred from Wyoming. They're just a bunch of guys that they play really good defense.
Mm-hmm.
They create opportunities. They think they lead the country in steals. But if you like watching paint dry, get ready for Drake.
Mm-hmm.
They have the slowest pace of play of any team in the country.
They just slow you down and make you execute in the half court on both ends.
And they get Missouri in the first round.
And Missouri wants to play fast.
If you have seen, SEC basketball is play fast, get up and down. It's going to be like a battle of wills.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing, though, is that this will be the big test is they face a team now that it's not at the beginning of the year where you can catch a team on the chin that just gets uncomfortable. They know what to expect from Drake. They've got better athletes than what Drake has. I mean, you're playing with a bunch of D2 guys and a guy from, Wyoming. It's not good. Athlete for athlete, Drake ain't winning that thing. But if they can just muscle you around and officials let them play, Drake will give you a chance to win.
Not just that, you want to talk about having the best player on the floor in Bennett Sturtz. Bennett Sturtz is a guy who is an NBA player. He's a second-round guy, but he is every bit of the white guy stereotype. Grinder, coach's son, first in, last out, real effort guy, but he's also a certified bucket. Averages 19 and 6 a game, much like Nate Clifford, shooting 50% from the field, damn near 40% from three, and 80% from the free throw line. Like, there's a reason why these markers keep popping up, because these are teams that have players or styles that are conducive to the NCAA tournament. Oregon is a team that I have talked about a lot over the last couple of weeks of being a disruptor, and there's two things that pop up there. 3-point volatility and defensive disruption. I was talking to a college basketball coach last week about Oregon, and he said the problem with Oregon as an opponent is Dana Altman knowing who he's going to play and having a plan is going to make life hell. It started, like when you started to see Altman like really kind of get into his bag, was the Rutgers game.
Yeah.
Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper come to town. This is kind of like the ramp up as you're getting ready for conference tournament play and going in the NCAA tournament. Oregon probably ran 15 different defensive schemes in that game. And for college freshmen to have to deal with that, not know when the trap is coming, when the blitz is coming, when they're going to drop out of their press, when they're going to pick up half-court press, when they're going to swing something on the backside, go a box and one, go really a triangle and two. Like, they threw everything at Rutgers, and you just watched them fold. And it was like, oh, boy. So if you're one of these, that's the other thing you have to consider. If you're basically a top 6 seed or above, more often than not, you're a team that you have more experience.
Right.
You're a team that has a lot of juniors or seniors, because that's when you get through the college season. Yeah, you might have a superstar freshman or sophomore or something along those lines. But those, like Houston is loaded with upperclassmen. They've got guys that have been there. Kelvin Sampson is always going to have guys that are going to get after you and play a certain style. With that experience, they're going to lean on that stuff. And that is the profile of teams that win. So if you look at your team and you're like, I think this team's going to go a long way. Look at 3-point volatility, look at high-end scoring, look at defense, but also look at how many upperclassmen a team has. Because if a team is light on upperclassmen, unless they have Cooper Flagg, unless they have, it actually might stop with Cooper, because obviously Dylan and Ace are, the rest of the team is not good. I mean, Common Malawak and Con Knipple are both on Duke.
Yeah.
Georgia's not there. Texas, you're leaning on Trey Johnson and then a bunch of kids. So it's really just Cooper Flagg. So Janai Broome is, the second or the runner-up and National Player of the Year for Auburn, but he's also an upperclassman. It's very rare that a college freshman has the level of impact that a Cooper Flagg does, regardless of talent.
He's a freak.
And that's why selfishly I want him to play so bad.
Hopefully we do see him. My second darling of the NCAA tournament is University of California, San Diego.
Oh, they'll be fun.
UCSD. This team has a bunch of dudes. 4 of their 5 starters are Division II transfers.
Mm-hmm.
They have just a bunch of guys that were like, all right, well, I guess I'm not going to make it here. Going to go make a name for myself. And their head coach, Eric Olin, just went and said, screw it. I'm just going to go try to build a team full of workers. Right now, they're only 2.5-point dogs to the Big Ten champion Michigan Wolverines.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They've got their best players from New Zealand.
Which is always the case when you're talking about those West Coast schools.
They got dudes from New Zealand, Austria, Serbia, Argentina. 4 of their 5 starters played Division II basketball a year ago, and they are rolling. They are actually really fun to watch. They can put up points. So UC San Diego, the Tritons, and that's one thing. University of San Diego, I get. Hard to get into.
Mm-hmm.
San Diego State, really good at basketball. UC San Diego, they should be good at basketball. You should be really good at basketball. It's not as hard to get into as University of San Diego.
California schools in general have no excuse to not be good at basketball.
And they are. So, number 2, darling, UC San Diego, which plays Michigan in a 12-5 matchup in Denver at altitude. My third one.
This is a fun one.
They very easily could beat Arizona on Friday.
Yeah, Arizona's far from bulletproof.
It is Akron. Okay. Here's the thing about Akron. You want to talk about volatility? They could win by 20. They could lose by 50 in this game. They play 2, 4, 6, 7 guys that are 6'3" or shorter. They start a 4-guard lineup, right? They go 5'11", 6 foot, 6'3", 6'2", 6'3", and then they have like a 6'7" guy who starts for them, and that is their big. They are wildly small, but they will shoot the lights out. Or they won't hit the broadside of a barn, and they could get just absolutely demolished by Arizona. And that's the thing that the most interesting part about that game, Arizona and Akron, to me, is that you have like a bunch of mighty mites. You would think Arizona's just going to impose their will, be bigger, be more physical, be more athletic. We are just going to bury you. They could make Arizona really uncomfortable, pull everybody out. And if their shots are falling, it could be a long night in Seattle for Arizona.
And if you're worried about the Ducks in their opening game matchup with Liberty, the one thing I will highlight again is 3-point volatility. The hat that Liberty that they hang their game on is 3-point offense and 3-point defense. They are the 5th best 3-point shooting team in the country. They are number 3 in 3-point defense. And what do the Ducks rely on offensively to get going? It is spreading you out and hitting threes.
They've had some issues with
consistency.
Well, no. Well, yeah. 3-point shooting consistency. But defensively, shooters have gotten open. That could be the wild card against Liberty. Everything else, Nate Biddle should eat.
Yeah. No, he should.
And he's been playing so damn well.
Mind.
And we've seen Dana Altman in their zone. They feel a lot more comfortable in that. That could be an interesting one. Liberty and Oregon as well. But my 3 darlings, they have a chance. If they win a game, people are going to glom onto them. They are UC San Diego, the Akron Zips, and Drake. Because everybody's going to love the little story of all the D2 guys that are in the NCAA tournament.
I mean, we were talking about this, I would say, 3 weeks ago, a month ago, and they had Drake and Oregon slotted in the same bracket. I looked at you and I went, that's not a team you want to play.
No.
But
Oregon, that would feel like they may stylistically fit them a little bit better than grind you to a halt.
Of the lower seeds, you don't want to see a team like Drake because they're so far to the extreme. It's different from everything you've seen, no matter what conference you play in. It's just
that's why I always try to find the little threads on some of the other teams, because the team like Colorado State, which is favored over Memphis in the 12-5 matchup, as a 12 Colorado State, they're not sneaking up on anybody.
No.
They are not, but you know what? A 5'11" 4-guard lineup from Akron, You could catch it. You could catch Arizona going, yeah, we got this.
Yeah, that's again, the NCAA tournament is so dictated by consistency and volatility. You get consistency from upperclassmen, you get volatility in shooting. And if you're a team that can control those two things, whether you're a very good defense or you stay true to your principles, you can eliminate a lot of the variables. And that's things like when you talk about the difference between college basketball and the NBA, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Those things are controlled for significantly more at the next level, where in college basketball, it's just one side or the other, and it goes absolutely crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good thing, though, that Arizona doesn't have a history of
choking
losing
horribly
in the first round. Yesterday was yesterday was the anniversary of the Arizona losing in the opening round of the tournament as a 15-2 game with DeAndre Ayton.
Yep.
And nobody remembers that because like 20 minutes later,
What
Virginia lost to UMBC.
Whoa.
A 16-1.
The first time we had it.
Like Sean Miller was like catching all the heat, but it only lasted for 20 minutes. And Tony Bennett in Virginia got bounced. They ended up winning a national title the next year. No countsies then. UMBC, really good team.
I will say, this week and going into the weekend, I'm really glad the Blazers are home because it's so much fun to be in the locker room when players have teams playing, especially if they're like end up playing against each other, because there will be some discussions with guys like Donovan and with DA about their prospective hopes and beliefs of what their teams can do, and you can get some pretty good trash talk.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, is Ayton even around? Is he hanging around?
No, DA was around last night.
He's hanging around?
Yeah, no, he was around last night. It was good to see him. He did pop off the bench and go buck wild crazy with the celebration when Denny punched down the massive and one dunk.
Outside of, I mean, Robert Williams, Texas A&M,
Yep.
they're in.
Jabari will be pulling for not necessarily Colorado State, but he'll be pulling for Neek because Neek's his guy.
Okay.
But yeah, no, it's a shallow pool.
There's not
No,
outside of
there's no
DeAndre
Dayton.
and Donovan Clingan. Like Syracuse isn't in it, so
JG's not involved.
Doesn't care.
There's no Dayton Flyers.
Nebraska's not in it.
No, because you've got two of those guys
Yeah,
with Justin and Bryce.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a down year for sure.
Not a lot of college guys.
No.
No.
They've got 9 international players.
Yeah. Rupert doesn't have one.
Tease is UW, but
Ant doesn't have. Well, Washington's not in it.
Ant would pull for Patino.
Okay. All right. So he's St. John's.
So
he's going St. John's.
Yeah. He's definitely tight with Patino.
Coach, how do you celebrate tonight? How do you celebrate tonight?
I'm going to drink a quart of Jameson's.
Maybe that's how Ant celebrates St. John's winning is drinks a quart of Jameson.
So yeah, it'll be
like his boy Patino.
Yeah. But beyond that, I'm just gonna go through my head. I don't think there's anybody really.
Who'd Scoot go for? Because he went G League. Wasn't he committed somewhere? Or
no,
Ignite?
He talked about wanting to come to Oregon to play football.
Oh, so maybe he's just pulling for Oregon.
I think he's an UGA guy, and Georgia's not in there. So maybe he does. Look, Scoot's smart with it when it comes to the whole Q rating. I bet you he probably gets behind the Ducks.
Georgia's in it. They're
that's right. They did make it. That's my bad.
Dude, they're an SEC team. Like everybody made it.
Everybody made it. Yeah.
What are we doing here? Except for LSU.
Yeah. Oh God. It had to be one, right? But yeah, it's a bit of a down year in that regard. But look, Donovan and DA, they both get behind their guys, and it's fun. So.
But yeah, Donovan played with most of these guys still.
Yeah. No, and he's very proud of it. He wanted them to go be the team that could unseat Florida as maybe the best college basketball team of all time.
None of these 1 seeds have got an easy road.
No.
I mean, if you look at it, Auburn could be looking down Louisville or Creighton with Kalkbrenner, who can make life a living hell at Creighton. You've got Duke has got Mississippi State or Baylor. I think Baylor is the one right there that could give them the headaches. Houston has got Gonzaga, that in maybe one of the best guards in the country in Nemhard.
Yep.
And then you have UConn could be standing there for Florida.
And they've got McNeely and Caravan.
Who know how to win in the tournament, too. Like, they've been there, done that. They're winners. Tried and true.
Woo. Turns out losing 2 guys to the NBA draft, its top 7 picks, can do a little bit of damage to your team.
I would say so.
All right, when we come back, we'll hit on some NFL news and notes. The Bengals deciding not to be entirely cheap. And where do they go from here? Danny Dusty, the fan. Well, the NFL is going to keep doing NFL things no matter what's going on in the rest of the world. And the Cincinnati Bengals have agreed to a truckload of money, contracting the Brinks Company to deliver it in pennies, I'm sure, to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, a combined salary that just kind of boggles the mind when you think about the jumps in the NFL. But you're getting a 4-year, $161 million for Jamar Chase, a 4-year, $115 million for T. Higgins, and a combined $69 million committed to your wide receiver core, 1 and 2 going into next season.
They made this declaration when they drafted Jamar Chase over Penei Sewell. That their decision was, we are going to fill out our offensive line and we are going to give Joe Burrow his safety blanket and the best damn wide receiver possible. Do you remember the stick figure drawings that were out there as to how the Bengals were approaching this?
Yes, the wide receiver down the field and no line, and then the one with Penei Sewell and Joe Burrow.
The receiver
pocket.
could not throw the football or could not separate, so Joe had nowhere to throw the football. Like that's where they were the first year, but they went to a damn Super Bowl, right?
Turns out when that quarterback and that wide receiver are that good,
now they have receivers 1 and 2. And the crazy thing about giving away all this money to your wide receivers this year is that it opens up salary cap space and it opens up a window for them to potentially re-sign Trey Hendrickson. What that looks like and what the rest of the roster looks like, good luck figuring that out because, man, it's going to be a lot of cash that they are going to have to put into escrow to hold on to those guys. But as it stands right now, if you're a Bengals fan, get ready for shootouts, man, because that's how you're going to have to win some football games, because to pay the 3 guys in Burrow, Chase, and Higgins what you were paying them, you're making tough decisions everywhere else. You need to knock it out of the park in the draft, and you got to find a way to slow teams down. And that was the biggest issue that they had last year. They were bitten by the injury bug in all the wrong places. Depth on the defensive line was a huge issue for them. And then untimely errors in the back end of their defense, it just crippled them. You see how many one-score games they lost last year. The law of averages say that next year, the Bengals will be a team that is the beneficiary of those. Now you have those guys locked up. It looks like it's a 2-year window, though, because that 4-year deal for T. Higgins is 4 years at $115 million, but only the first 2 years of that are guaranteed. So what they're going to do is after 2 years, reassess it, either punt on T. Higgins and say, sorry, but we're out of this game. And they may go back to a rebuild or retool of sorts. But this is the window, is 2 years to see if they can win a Super Bowl with T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, and Joe Burrow.
And they'll figure something out with Trey Hendrickson. Good luck with that.
Got to do it.
Oh, boy. Coming up next, the Oregon State Beavers men's basketball team are playing postseason basketball.
They're dancing.
But it's not the NIT. Here's Big Guno with Sports Center Update.
Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, the Trailblazers snapping a 5-game skid yesterday afternoon with a win over the Raptors. Tonight, the Wizards are in town in the hitting Moda Center. DeAndre Ayton, Jabari Walker, Robert Williams III, and Ryan Rupert are all out. Jeremy Grant is doubtful, and Tumani Kamara is questionable. It's a 7 o'clock tip on KUNP 2.2 on your antenna or Xfinity Channel 302. The Blazers are 6-point favorites. ESPN's Adam Schefter reporting the Texans and Derek Stingley Jr. have agreed to a 3-year, $90 million extension that makes him the highest paid cornerback in NFL history. All but $1 million of that $90 million is guaranteed. Last night, the Bengals reportedly locking up their wide receiver tandem. Jamar Chase, 4 years, $161 million with $112 million guaranteed, and T. Higgins for 4 years at $115 million with the first 2 years guaranteed. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
Your favorite fan shows are on YouTube. Mash the subscribe button and like us for live streaming video and 1080 The Fan on demand.
Just hearing the word IRS
The Oregon State Beavers are going to play some postseason basketball, and it's not in the NIT. It is in the Crown tournament, which
This is such a weird bracket.
it is, and you've got a group of teams. And what the reason this came about was because the instability as it pertained to the NIT. You had a lot of teams starting to turn away from this. You also had NIL. And I think eventually we're going to get one of these tournaments that could rival the NCAA tournament. I think a company is going to come in with so much cash that it's going to pull teams away from the NCAA tournament. Basically take like the top 24 or 48 teams, and they'll do a bracket that way.
Well, I think the Big Ten and the SEC just may do that themselves.
Yeah, and I think that's the way this is going to ultimately end up going. But in the meantime, you've got this rivaling tournament to the NIT, and what ended up happening was over the last few years, you've seen teams, because the lack of exposure for NIT coverage, because I don't believe they have a true TV partner locked in over any period of time.
Who?
The NIT.
ESPN.
Isn't there? I thought I read that their deal was running out, and there was nobody that was.
In the future,
yeah,
probably.
Which is why these
I don't know
other
why anybody would.
No, that's exactly it, because nobody's really interested in it, because teams keep turning it down. They look at it as a slight, but they're also looking at these other tournaments that have bigger media rights deals, like the Crown one, which is signed with Fox, and they're really pumping it up, and they're investing a ton of money into it. So you've got this 16-team field that includes Arizona State, Boise State, Butler, Cincinnati, Colorado, DePaul, George Washington, Georgetown, Nebraska, Oregon State, Tulane, UCF, USC, Utah, Villanova, and Washington State.
That is 6 teams that are 500 or worse this year.
Indeed. There's some guaranteed bids in there to the Big Ten and Big 12.
Hold on. Villanova, who just fired their coach.
Kyle Neptune, everybody saw that one coming.
Bobby Hurley in the Arizona State Sun Devils, which Arizona State had to give the vote of confidence in an extension at a lesser. He got the Jim Harbaugh treatment.
Yeah, well, that was the thing.
Bobby Hurley.
He was going to be out.
Yeah, exactly.
And he was like, I'll take less money to come back. Because James Harden gave $10 million worth of NIL money with the expectation of, hey, we're going to change the coach.
And this, by the way, is there's this, hey, is James Harden changing the way that people are, NBA players are going to fund their schools? No longer will it be giving for locker rooms and weight rooms and facilities. There's already a bunch of former players that do give for NIL. And no, it doesn't work. Like, the idea that just NIL on its own is going to make your team better is so wrong.
I mean, look at Rutgers.
So wrong. Look at Arizona State. They got $10 million for NIL from James Harden. They went 14-19 this season. It doesn't fix everything. Like, you have got to have, at the end of the day, recruiting still is a relationship business. NIL gets you the door open, and it can help you slam the door shut. But all of these schools have money. They all do. Arizona State has money.
Oh, yeah.
You have got to be able to recruit. That's why we see these front office positions are so important and valuable to universities now. And you're seeing guys getting hired away from the NFL and from the NBA to go and run these front offices. But they also have to have chemistry, continuity with the vision and the ideas of the head coach, or else you're going to be a poorly run organization that we have in professional sports too. NIL is in just having a big name GM for your school is not the end all be all. There is so much more that goes into it. You're seeing a lot of schools are faltering and flailing as they're trying to figure out this new landscape. And Arizona State's one of them on the basketball side. You have a head coach who has that relationship with their front office on the football side. Kenny Dillingham's got it figured out. The basketball side, you got to figure that stuff out, man.
The interesting thing here is there's another note that comes out of NIT as it becomes more and more of a problem. South Alabama was a team that was offered an NIT invitation.
Yikes.
Because UC Riverside was offered an NIT invitation, but they could not accept it because they had a prior commitment to the College Basketball Invitational, which is not an NCAA-affiliated tournament. Again, much like the Crown.
The CBI, baby. Beavs have a CBI banner. Beavs won the CBI. There you go.
Hey, put it up on the wall. We
Yeah,
put up
man.
less. We put up a summer league banner.
Craig Robinson got it.
But UC Riverside was able to get out of the CBI invitation that they had accepted and come back to the NIT and take it. And then the NIT told South Alabama, sorry, we're not sorry. Sorry.
That's harsh.
It's nasty work. And then now on the Crown side of the things, there are issues because the transfer portal, much like college football, opens up before postseason play, and it's very dumb. And you mentioned the Wyoming guard that transferred to Drake.
Yep.
Wyoming's top freshman, averaging 15 points a game, has entered the transfer portal.
Big on.
You're looking at a lot of the top freshmen at the lower level schools or guys that are exceeding the expectations at a smaller school. This is what's happening in college basketball, very similar to college football.
But this is where kind of the Crown is going to try to keep players. They still haven't announced the details yet. There is an NIL component of it.
Yes.
Very similar to the Vegas in-season tournament that Oregon won earlier in the year.
Stay and play in this tournament game, then leave.
But because it's undefined, and I think it's probably going to be like a winner-take-all situation here. We've already seen for the Crown, the automatic bids, Big Ten has some of those automatic bids. Indiana, West Virginia, Ohio State, Rutgers, Kansas State, Penn State, Wake Forest, TCU, all declined the Crown invitational team.
And Rutgers is opting out because Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper are not going to play.
Yeah, why would they?
Dylan Harper's already playing on a bum ankle. He was already sick as a dog and lost like 15 pounds
He
in the
doesn't need
season.
that NIL money.
He's good. He's looking at his NBA prospects. And so but for the Oregon States of the world, it's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Get some more exposure, go out there, be productive. And for Villanova, it's a hiring ground, so to speak. Like, hey, let's kind of go get this right. Kyle Neptune, the coach responsible for the I would say slander as it pertained to Cam Whitmore's draft prospects, and part of the reason why you saw him plummet on draft night, did not say nice things about Cam Whitmore.
But,
so,
I mean,
that not working out there, not surprising.
For Oregon State and for Washington State, it can be the cap to this year of transition.
More viability.
A lot of things up in the air, right? Beavs had a 20-win season, right? They went 10-8 in conference play, but a 20-win season. A win in this tournament, and I think the Cougs have got Georgetown in the opening round. Oregon State's got Wake Forest?
Yes.
In the opening round. For the Cougs, you can get a 20-win season to finish off your year. A 20-win season is the benchmark in college basketball. You get 20 wins in a season, things are going well for you. And it would be a nice cap if both of them could finish with 20-win seasons. And for the Beavs, you got Wake Forest and then the winner of Cincinnati DePaul. And by the way, DePaul, that is a school that is figuring out NIL and the front office kind of Rubik's Cube. They might be okay, and they're in Chicago.
Yeah.
Like, they could be okay in a few years.
Wouldn't surprise me.
No, not one bit.
All right, coming up next, we'll wrap up today's show with the great suck-off between the Wizards and Blazers, and might we see something happen tonight? We'll get to that here on Danny and Dusty, 10 the Fan. Portland Trailblazers take on the Washington Wizards tonight in what could be lumped into a potential great suck-off game. The Wizards are a travesty of epic proportions. But looking at the Blazers injury report tonight...
somebody's new.
Toumani Camara, questionable for tonight's game.
I
don't know if anybody noticed. Toumani Camara, career-high 5 made threes last night. 21 points. Very important to the Blazers getting a win last night. Manipulating here, perhaps?
Maybe. What is the injury in question?
Calf soreness.
That's a good one.
It's a good one. It's
a good one to have.
Knee tendinopathy. Look,
Yeah.
the NBA is definitely cracking down, and the Trailblazers are on triple secret probation as it pertains to manipulating lottery odds over the past 2 years.
Which may be a reason why they haven't shut guys down.
I'm sure they've received a memo.
Yeah.
I'm sure them and others have received memos about what they're doing, which is why you've seen the Wizards win some games recently.
Yeah, and the Blazers winning games like last night. Second of a back-to-back, though, long season. You could see it happening. Yeah. Jeremy Grant on the injury report, too. Doubtful.
I don't think JG's... look, I don't think he's going to play again the rest of the season, nor is DeAndre Ayton. I'd be pretty surprised if they did.
That's not a shocker, especially DA, because we saw him get hurt, and it was immediate. It was not good.
No, 7-footer with a calf strain, man, and it was very apparent how bad it was.
Yeah. So, all right. Maybe. If they don't have Toumani Camara, that may actually change the line and change the way you think of this game.
Look, it's a 6.5-point game, and normally, if you're a home team and all things are equal, it's a 5-point game.
Second of a back-to-back.
So that's
for
only
Portland,
6.5. Pretty telling that this could be closer than people think. And again, the Wizards just beat the Nuggets.
Yeah. And by the way, do you know it's a mile high up there?
Yeah.
Jeez, and they won that game.
Yeah.
How do teams do it?
Different place to go in and play.
Man, that is the ultimate what we saw Denver overlook a team and just say, yeah, we don't need to. And
they're fighting for seeding.
They really are.
Every win matters right now if you're 2 through 7 in the West.
And because as we talked about, like the Lakers, they were in the 2 seed at the beginning of the weekend. And now it's like,
and LeBron's out, and they're fighting, clawing, scrapping, doing everything they can to make sure that they hold that seeding.
What is going to happen with LeBron? We saw, I don't know, a minute and a half of him just shooting pregame.
Shams had the report that he's basically going to reevaluate in another week. I think that they're trying to buy as much time for him to get some rest before the playoffs.
But he's 40.
We'll see what comes out of it.
All right. Well, that does it for us on this Monday. It was a good Monday.
Good Monday. Yeah. Not over yet.
We are ramping it up because Thursday we'll be at A&A. Thursday, Friday, it's Fan Madness, baby! And all the show's going to be there on Friday. Thursday, Danny and Dusty are going to be there. I'm not going to be there.
Indeed.
I will be on the beach in Mexico. Primetime with Isaac and Suk will be there on Thursday as well. Friday, we got Dirt and Sprague, Danny, Dusty, and Primetime with Isaac and Suk. It's going to be a party. And
I've got some guests coming up.
The Ducks play Friday at 7. So 7:10, it's only 20 minutes of primetime that's going to be interrupted. So for Ducks pregame. It's going to be a great party. We will see you tomorrow, though, from noon to 3 right here on The Fan. Up next is 4 hours of power from their mouths to your ears. Primetime with Isaac and Suk.
Bye.
I'm going to drink a quart of Jameson.
Hey, it's Suk. And guys, if you're losing your hair and you need a simple solution that actually works, you want the best. Modern technology with top-rated physicians and something that's guaranteed to work. Guys, you need advanced hair. They've completely redefined hair restoration, from the experience itself to their unmatched results. Receding hairline, bald spot, thinning hair, you can address them all with Advanced Hair's simple one-day treatment in a calm, relaxed environment with the most experienced professionals. Advanced Hair has performed tens of thousands of these breakthrough treatments. And get this, your very own natural hair begins to regrow the very next day. No one can offer anything like the advanced FUE found at Advanced Hair, and I highly recommend their team. It starts with your free consultation. Call 503-832-HAIR, and if you qualify, you're